Good evening. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome everybody who's logged in to join us this evening for this Funding Network event. We've got people from all across Australia, and I've also seen in the chat there's some folks dialing in from overseas, which is amazing. Welcome to those from Ireland and from elsewhere. Happy to have you here tonight. My name is Matt Wicking. I'll be your MC this evening and kickstarting our TFN virtual live crowdfunding events for 2021 with this beautiful event tonight. Let's start the year off right, I say. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of country throughout this land that we call Australia, and to recognise continuing connection to land, waters and culture of First Nations people right across the continent. We pay our respect to elders past, present and emerging. And tonight, with a couple of wonderful First Nations charities here, I want to extend that respect to any and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people on this call. Now, we all know, thanks to a year, almost exactly a year of coronavirus pandemic, that not everything goes smoothly in this virtual environment. So I want to thank you in advance for your patience if we have any delays or surprises or glitches or fantastical events. If the video or sound isn't working perfectly at your end, first tip is to hit the refresh button or hit F5 to refresh, or log back out and log back in, and hopefully it's just a problem at your end. If we've got something going on, we've got a wonderful team in the background of this event helping to keep things running smoothly, so we'll be back with you as soon as we can. Tonight's event has been made possible by our event partners, IOOF Foundation, Waratah Education Foundation, and supporting partner, Victorian Women Lawyers. Thank you so much, and a special welcome to your guests. Tonight at this event, you'll be hearing from 3 organisations with social innovation programs that focus on providing education and skills opportunities for disadvantaged people in Australia. These 3 organisations have been through TFN's selection, due diligence and pitch coaching process, and were chosen to present by an independent panel. So I guess what I'm saying there is that they're quality organisations. I'm really excited to hear their pitch, and I hope you are too. And they're all really deserving of our support and our backing tonight. Each presenter will have 5 minutes to tell their story. Then they'll have a chance to answer your questions. You'll see on your screen down the bottom, if you're on a laptop or a desktop, there's a place to ask a question and also to vote on the best one. So please get involved and get active there so we can make sure that these organisations can provide you the information you need in order to support them do their amazing work. After we've heard from all 3 presenters, we're going to facilitate live pledging through the chat. I'll give you more instructions when we get to that part of the program. For now, you should be able to see the chat somewhere on your screen. We'll be using that for the pledging. But let's dive in. We're going to begin by meeting our first presenter. Gambina helps young Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander youth in the greater Shepparton community to successfully transition from school to long-term meaningful employment. Please welcome General Manager Larissa Feller to tell us more.
Thank you, Matt, for that introduction, and also for your acknowledgement of country and for the opportunity to speak to everyone tonight. I want to start with a quote that hangs on the wall in my office by Maya Angelou. It reads, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." And anyone that knows me knows that I'm all about the feels. I love what I do, but my greatest joy comes on the days when I visibly see that I've made a difference to how a child feels about themselves, feels about their potential to achieve, and feels about the value of their cultural heritage. I'm here to speak to you tonight about one of Gambina's programs, the Accelerated Learning Program, which provides targeted tutoring to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children from years 3 to 6. To give you an insight into the life of someone who accesses this program, I'll paint you a picture. I want you to imagine a 9-year-old girl. Let's call her Millie. Millie is an Aboriginal child who has been in out-of-home care for as long as she can remember. Placed with a non-Aboriginal family, she's had to deal with not only being separated from her family, but also being disconnected from her culture, which affects her sense of identity and self-worth. Now, school is the only place that provides structure in her day. But Millie is almost 2 years behind her peers in essential literacy and numeracy skills. Now, this is not an uncommon scenario for Aboriginal children like Millie. In fact, 4 in 10 Aboriginal children enter their first year of primary school with limited motor skills, poor social and communication skills, or limited basic literacy and numeracy skills. That's almost half. Now, if academic achievement doesn't improve, as children like Millie progress through school, there is a risk that they start to disengage, their school attendance drops, and they become less likely to want to go to secondary school, let alone complete Year 12. This is where Gambina steps in. The Accelerated Learning Program concentrates on the fundamentals, foundation skills in numeracy, literacy, and cultural identity. We work closely with guardians to understand the specific needs of each child. We keep our tutor-student ratio low. We provide access to Aboriginal mentors, and we deliver a program in a culturally safe environment. We support these children to reach their full potential, to be confident in their cultural identity, and make a successful transition into secondary school. Above all else, the children engaged in the Accelerated Learning Program learn how to learn in a fun way. The word Gambina means to rise up. Now, if we think about the definition of rise up, it's to move from a lower position to a higher one. As Aboriginal people, we are born into a position of disadvantage, but education empowers young people to see and achieve their full potential. It gives them the confidence to rise up. We start with programs like the Accelerated Learning Program and continue to support our participants through to Year 12 and beyond until they're 25 years old. We know that this long-term approach works. As it stands, only 66% of Aboriginal students complete Year 12, compared to 89% of non-Aboriginal students. But with Gambina's support, our participants' chances of completing Year 12 increases to 90%. Last year, Social Ventures Australia conducted an independent evaluation of our programs and found that for every dollar invested in Gambina, $6.60 in social value is created. And that's because when a child stays in school and continues through secondary school, they're less likely to have a teenage pregnancy, end up in juvenile detention, become unemployed or dependent on welfare, saving billions of dollars in welfare spending. But one of the biggest things for me that came out of that impact report was an intangible impact. It was a feeling. It was found that Gambina helps our young people to walk confidently in two worlds, the professional world and their cultural world. Just think about how powerful that is. This photo here was taken at one of our annual awards nights. Now just look at those young people's smiles. That there is the reason why we do what we do and why I'm here tonight to ask for your help. Your help in investing early in the potential of your Aboriginal kids so that they can be set up for later success in life. With current funding and staffing levels, we're able to help about 50 kids like Millie every year through the Accelerated Learning Program around Greater Shepparton. If we reach our goal tonight, those funds will go directly to keeping this program in operation for another year. But this is only one of our programs, and we know that there are upwards of 200 kids on our other programs who could benefit from the Accelerated Learning Program. If we raise $78,000, we would be able to hire a dedicated staff member to run the program, further develop resources, and rapidly expand the impact of our program. Together, let's help more kids like Millie to rise up from their position of disadvantage and take hold of every opportunity for a better, brighter future. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Larissa. What a great presentation. I want to ask now for any questions from the audience. So this is a chance for anyone who's got a question to push that ask a question box, or if you're interested in contributing to votes on a question, you can ask them there. I've got a question to kick us off though. Sure. Your statistics around Year 12 attainment are really impressive, and obviously great to be able to have those sort of clear statistics about the benefits of your program and the fact that it works. How come what you're doing is working where other programs arguably might be failing in this space?
Well, for me, I think it's the long-term approach that I spoke about in my pitch, that end-to-end support and the culturally appropriate delivery of our programs. Simply, it's an Aboriginal-led organisation with Aboriginal people supporting the next generation of Aboriginal leaders.
Yeah, great, amazing. And another question that follows on from that, and then I'm going to look at that question box because I can see something's popped up there. How have your programs changed the perception of Aboriginal people in the local community, do you think?
Well, the kids that are engaged with Yambina, they're empowered. And you can tell that they set goals for themselves, they start working to achieve those goals. And when you have confident young people with really clear aspirations for their future, you get outcomes. Aboriginal youth are really engaged in education, in long-term meaningful employment, and that in itself shifts perceptions, because we know that there is a negative narrative out there, but once we give these participants the tools to be able to succeed, they learn themselves very quickly that they can flip that script and change that narrative.
Yeah, wow, that's so powerful. Makes a lot of sense. I've got some questions here. The one that I'm going to go with is the one that's got the most votes. So this is a question, I can't see who it's from, but it says, thank you for your presentation. Do you have any partnerships with tertiary institutions, and is this relevant to your programs?
Yeah, for sure, we do. So we're based here in Greater Shepparton. We have one of the largest Aboriginal populations within Victoria outside of metropolitan Melbourne. And the local universities here, including La Trobe University, we have a very really well-oiled partnership with them. They work with us to help with transitioning participants through high school, making sure that they're feeling comfortable and transitioning into either pathways through the local TAFE or direct entry into university. And they've got an Indigenous unit as well, and they are fantastic. If La Trobe don't offer the courses that the participants want to explore, they connect them with other tertiary institutes around Australia, which is fantastic.
That's great. That's great. Nice to see that you're working in relationship and partnership like that. It's so powerful. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Larissa. I know when we get to the pledging bit, I'll be thinking of how you made me feel, and the photo up on screen now of those children's smiling faces too. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt.
Our second organisation pitching tonight, Alethea Incorporated, facilitates activities and workshops for children focused on social and emotional wellbeing as keys to lifelong learning and growth. Here to tell us more is founder Tallulah Hughes. Welcome, Tallulah.
Thank you. At Alethea, we have found the key to making the world a kinder, fairer place. I know that sounds like a massive claim, but we have been watching it happen, and I'm going to show you how, starting with the story of two very different little girls. One of these girls was so full of life, it came bursting out of her. She had a big smile, she never stopped talking, and she asked a lot of questions. She was funny, curious, loud. The other girl was so withdrawn when she was in social settings such as daycare or preschool. She would be mute all day. She wouldn't engage with other kids, teachers, or activities. She would curl in on herself, emotionally and physically, shoulders hunched, head down. But these two girls have more in common than it might sound. For starters, they shared a body. You see, Kaylee at home with her family was so different to how she was out in the world. It was like she was two entirely different people. As time went on, Kaylee became more withdrawn and reluctant to go to school. That's how she came to Alethea, and that's when things started to change. Alethea is a specialised, nature-based learning environment where the core values are mutual respect, empathy, and inclusion. Building on the work of pioneers such as Ken Robinson and my grandfather, Vincent Nolan, we have completely reimagined education. We've created a democratic environment in which the mentors work with the children to find the right balance between structured activities and space for the children's ideas and interests. Some days children will be building forts and suspension bridges while working with mentors to learn maths, science, and engineering skills and documenting their findings. Other days they will be reading history books in trees and writing out their own rap songs. With each project, mentors facilitate learning across multiple disciplines. Studies show that the dopamine that comes from joyful experiences enhances our ability to process and retain information. Studies also show that connecting with nature helps to calm and focus children. Kaylee attends our flagship centre here on the mid-north coast of New South Wales, which caters for children aged 6 to 12. This is the age when children are developing their internal voice. This is when we need to build a deep, secure sense of self, of belonging and connection, of capability. Just 2 years since launching, we have already seen how quickly this can change lives. Kaylee started talking within her first term at Alethea. A year later, how she is out in the world is similar to how she is at home. She arrives at Alethea wearing that big smile and ends the day covered in paint, mud, or clay. Whatever the day brings, she dives in wholeheartedly. Kaylee's incredible transformation is one of many we have seen at Alethea. We have seen children that were spiralling into depression, disconnecting from education and their community. Children that are on the spectrum, including one who was labelled with low-functioning autism and expelled from primary school. Others who were bullied. All of these children are thriving at Alethea. Our surveys with family members show that every single child who has attended Alethea for a term or more has seen an improvement in their mental and emotional health, their confidence and sense of belonging, their ability to problem solve, regulate emotions, connect and socialise, and their engagement in learning. Parents who rated their children 1 out of 10 for their emotional and mental state before starting rated them at 6 or 7 after a short time at Alethea. Others who started at 8 moved to 10. No matter where these children start, parents see an improvement in their fundamental life skills and their ability to communicate with care. Our feedback shows that children at Alethea develop a different mindset, the type of mindset that when faced with a challenge automatically responds, how are we going to solve this problem? How are we going to support this person? Now imagine an entire generation of young people like this. What would the world look like? $40,000 will mean that 40 children like Kaylee will be able to attend Alethea programs over the year. It also means we'll be able to showcase our work to potential partners to secure long-term funding for this hub and for the many others across the nation who are wanting to follow our lead. If we raise more, we can take Alethea to the next level and make it more widely available. The Alethea approach is already making our little corner of the world a kinder, fairer place. And we would love for you to join us in our mission to continue this work for everyone, everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tallulah. Wow, what an amazing story and organisation and project. Let's go to the questions. I invite folks dialing in at home to pop a question if you've got one for Tallulah into the question box. I've got one just to start us off while we're waiting for that. I noticed you referred to Alethea as a learning centre as opposed to a school. Can you explain what the difference is for you?
Yeah, so in Australia, we can't just go and register as a learning centre. It doesn't exist yet. So we're a charity. And so this is why another side of what we're doing is gathering outcomes and information and working with academics to show that, yes, school works for some. And when it's not quite working, we do need learning centres as well. We do have some children that go to school full time and come to us 1 day a week, and we just give them that extra support they need. But learning centres is something that we need to push for in Australia so that it can exist widely.
Yeah, great. And I feel like you might have just answered a couple of questions coming up in the question box with that answer, which is, are Alethea's programs run in conjunction with mainstream schooling or as an alternative to mainstream schooling? It sounds like it's in conjunction, is that right?
Yeah, it can be both. So there are some children that do attend school and come to us 1 day, and then there are other kids like the children that were expelled or the anxiety's too high, that school's just not working. and there's nowhere else to go. So then they come to us, and they can come to us up to 4 days a week if they need to. They can pick and choose as a family how much they're with us and how much they want to enroll in distant education or home education or other types of support.
Amazing. And one more practical one, you gave us such great clarity on what this funding that you received tonight might help to do. Someone's asked, do you receive government funding?
Unfortunately not, and that's why I'm really wanting to push for learning centres. We're just a grassroots charity run by volunteers, and we just work so hard for every little bit of funding and just push it straight towards the kids and the mentors.
That's amazing. And I can hear the passion in your voice as you share, Tallulah, and it's beautiful to see the results that you're obviously getting from those graphs, from the feedback from parents about the changes they're seeing. And I can only imagine what that would feel like as a parent to see those changes in your children. So thank you so much for presenting tonight, and look forward to seeing how you go with the pledging.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Amazing. Our third organisation tonight, last but not least, as they say, Narramilli develops capacity and leadership in the community by providing culturally informed support to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander creatives, entrepreneurs, and businesses. Please welcome Cormac Evans, co-founder and CEO, to tell us more about their programs.
Thanks, Matt. Before I start, I would like just to acknowledge the lands that I stand upon, the lands of the Larrakia Nation, and pay respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. And acknowledge any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people that are tuning in, and acknowledge your elders past, present, and emerging as well. This story, I think, for me, is a story of Black excellence. My name is Cormac Evans. I'm a proud Yorta Yorta man, and I'm the founder of Strong Brother, Strong Sister, and the co-founder of Narramilli. Everyone asks me what led me to do what I do today. What led me to Narramilli? So let's go back. My grandmother, a beautiful, staunch Yorta Yorta woman, had just given birth to a beautiful baby boy, a moment that any parent should be able to cherish for the rest of their lives. Sadly, that moment was interrupted upon by a racist and disgusting government policy known as the Assimilation Act. Trusting in the nurses at the hospital, Millie was given adoption papers and told they were release forms for the hospital. From that moment on, Millie and my father didn't see each other for around 35 years later. And shortly after that, she passed away. I never got to meet my grandmother. And these stories are far too common in many lives of us as First Nations people and the businesses that we support today. I dedicate everything I do to my grandmother Millie and my father and all the survivors and the people that we've lost from the stolen generation, from first colonisation, from deaths in custody, and so much more. For those people who have protected our culture, our language, our communities, and so much more for us to stand tall today. Fast forward, I'm about 23 years old, and trauma for me had finally set in. Trauma of racism in school, trauma of family violence, trauma of not having a sense of belonging or a true sense of identity. Trauma seeing the effects of drugs and alcohol and many other awful circumstances had finally erupted. That moment for me was probably the darkest times for me personally. Drugs, alcohol, and suicide were only my visible options out. Thankfully, I had incredible people to be able to support me to get out of that moment for the rest of my life. 4 years later, I found my true calling. I paddled from Papua New Guinea back to Cape York, Australia, in a dugout canoe that you can see on the screen, with a couple of friends of mine, which we made the canoes on an island called Saibai Island. We hunted and gathered all our food. That trip, we raised enough money to start our first organisation, Strong Brother, Strong Sister, that supports Aboriginal young people and children across Victoria. And today has supported over 2,000 young people and children. That journey for me was a journey of learning. It was starting a business and learning the gaps in support for First Nations businesses, which led us to founding Narramilli in 2019. Narramilli, a Wadawurrung word meaning to dance. It's a recognition of First Nations people having over 80,000 years of excellence running through our veins, through ceremony, agriculture, language, survival. We were born entrepreneurs. Narramilli is the missing links in the startup, entrepreneur and business space for First Nations businesses and people. Narramilli is Aboriginal created, Aboriginal led, and a DGR1 status charity that has engaged over 650 aspiring, current and long-time businesses since we were founded. I'll share a quick story with you of one of our success stories out of those 650 individuals. A female Aboriginal mother looking to start her own business, having a traumatic background and suffering from poor mental health and wellbeing, and a range of other circumstances. Narramilli was able to provide key supports that included support for health and wellbeing, support for business registration and setup, e-commerce platforms, and a range of other supports. Through our one-on-one personally tailored support, 10 weeks later, that individual was able to make a profit of over $200,000. And that's just one of the stories. The key factor in our success is our personally tailored support for each individual founder. We focus on their social, emotional health and wellbeing and provide personally tailored supports that suit the individual's journey to assist them to achieve the best possible outcomes in their business world, but also for their community. With a strong sense of belonging, a strong sense of identity, and a strong heart and soul comes success. First Nations people start their business around 20 steps behind any non-First Nations business. Racism, discrimination, lower life expectancies, transgenerational grief, loss and trauma are just a range of barriers that our businesses have to overcome to just have an equal playing field at the starting line of actually just starting their business. Our role at Narramilli is to walk alongside the First Nations people to be able to excel their journey, smash those barriers out of the way completely, and ensure long-term sustainable outcomes with self-determination that can contribute to a prosperous Black economy. And the way of our support has been able to support many businesses to make ginormous profits between $5,000 to $200,000 and even more. We've injected over 81% of our turnover back into the First Nations economy through contracting First Nations business leaders to be able to provide the supports of mentoring to our future businesses. We've created 4 co-working spaces with partnerships with a range of different organisations. Currently today, we've supported 160 plus Aboriginal businesses in Torres Strait Islander businesses, one-on-one personally tailored support. 70% of those are women, 30% are non-binary community members, and around 50% are under the age of 30 years old. This, for us, as a community, creates a sustainable ecosystem of excellence. So, how can you support economic prosperities for First Nations businesses and communities? We know that $3,000 of support got that business I just spoke about a profit of over $200,000 in just 10 weeks. We want to be able to support 20 businesses, and we want to go national. There's a huge calling for Narramilli across Australia, and we need to fill that gap. So we would love to be able to raise $60,000 or more to be able to continue on our journey to support excellence in the First Nations economy space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cormac. Wow, what an amazing story. That felt like a roller coaster, really, sharing that history, the trauma and important stories of stolen generations, and then overarching it all, as you said, a story of Black excellence, which this really is. So thank you so much. I'm really interested in what questions the folks at home have for you. I've got one here to start us off while we're waiting for some to pop up in that question box. So folks, go there and ask your questions in and vote for the ones you want to hear answered. Looking towards the future, how can we as supporters contribute to the First Nations economy and its growth for success?
Totally. I think there's a lot of different ways, and there's some really simple ways. Just to be able to buy from First Nations people, there's so many different businesses out there that provide a range of different supports, from stationery to consulting to clothing, anything that you think of, there's a First Nations business in that space that is leading the way. There's also ways to be able to, like this, is to be able to donate. Sadly, for us as First Nations people, first colonisation only happened 250 years ago, and then stolen generation realistically not that long ago. So like I said, we're overcoming all these barriers, but also we haven't got that inherited wealth to be able to take those risks and be able to really, jump over and excel like other businesses do. So just having that flexibility of support and funds to be able to support businesses take those risks and take those steps, because they pay off, and you can see that in the profits that we can support businesses to be able to make.
That's great. And for anyone who's asking that question for themselves at home, I mean, there's an obvious answer, as you said, which is chip in tonight and get behind this business and your work, which would obviously have a flow-on effect for communities and so on. I also really appreciate what you just said then about, you know, some of that history you're talking about. It's actually not that distant past, is it? I mean, you're talking about your relatives. I know my relatives were on the colonisation side of that, and me too now. So this is stuff we're still working through, and you were talking about starting behind just because of those consequences. How do we help give you a boost? So I really appreciate that answer. There's a question in the comments, which is, how long did your canoe trip take? That was an inspiring story.
My canoe trip was about a month, and we flew up to just off the coastline of Papua New Guinea and to a little island called Saibai Island, and made the canoe from scratch with the traditional owners there. We made 2 of them. We lost one out at sea because it's quite rough up there, and but then it worked out really well because we all got in one boat, which is a lot more easier. It was an incredible journey. So yeah, just island hopping the whole way, which was quite special.
Wow, it's an amazing story, and says something about your determination, I think, and drive, that you could even take that on. We've got another question here in the chat that has a whole lot of votes for it, so I'll ask you that one. This one says, thank you so much for your heartfelt story. How many people work in your organisation, and how many will you need to go from local to national? What's the kind of, you know, scale up that you might even imagine could be? No,
totally. I think that's an amazing question. Currently, we have 4 employees at at Narramelli, including myself. But like how I sort of highlighted, a lot of our work is around utilising leaders, experts in the individual spaces and sectors of the business world. And so, like I said, we have a range of experts in every sector that we call upon to be able to provide the best possible support and advice for our businesses. And through that, we're able to inject money back into the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander economy, which then creates an ecosystem to be able to, I guess, leverage the excellence. But it also ensures sustainable and obtainable leaders and role models for First Nations businesses, but also the community as well, to be able to see that it's achievable. And then the ripple effect from that continues on.
Thank you, Cormac. I love the way you talk about this as an ecosystem and as a community effort. So, you know, whatever you do obviously has these ripple effects. And I think that goes for anyone who's going to contribute tonight. What they chip in here will have that ripple effect, won't it?
Thank you. And I guess the only thing I didn't answer in that question was probably, for us, to be able to go national, we do need more staff. So realistically, a team of 10 to 15 would be amazing to be able to have people in each community to drive the program, because that's a really important part for us, is to have leaders in each community to drive the program. So then they have relationships and everything else as well, and those expertise for those specific communities. Yeah, totally. That makes so much sense. Well, let's see how we can go this evening. Thanks so much for coming and presenting. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Wow, what incredible stories from 3 amazing individuals making a real impact in their communities. Let's see now if we as a collective here can work together to raise some much needed donations to support their wonderful efforts. So you'll see on your screen now, there's a how to pledge slide. Let me explain how this process works. For those of you who've been to one of these Funding Network events before, you'll know it all too well. For the rest of you, here's how it goes from here. We're going to invite an advocate for each program up to the screen to kick off the pledging for their organisation. Then we'll open up the pledging for that organisation to everyone watching. So just sit tight for another minute or so. I can tell some of you are itching to pledge, which is really great. If you'd like to make a pledge, you just go to the chat and enter your name and the amount you want to pledge in the chat box, and I'll read it out as it comes up. So it's a little bit like a telethon, I guess, in the old days on the TV I remember watching. Don't worry if I miss your pledge though, we'll go back through the chat and pick them up. So as long as you type it in there, you put your name and the amount, we'll get that and we'll make sure everyone's pledge is counted. We'll go through each program in the same order they presented. So please save your pledge for the organisation you want to pledge for until we're collecting for that program. And when we're done, we'll do a quick second round in case anyone wants to make final pledges. All pledges are tax deductible, so that's important to know. There's an end of financial year coming up in a few months' time, so tax deductible. And pledges start from just $100. So $100 is a minimum pledge.
The good news is I've been told that there is no upper limit. So don't be shy. If you're having tech issues or you prefer to give privately, you can also text your pledge to the number posted in the chat room. That's just popped up there. Both IOOF Foundation and Waratah Education Foundation, this is an element that I love about these events and I think makes them really particularly powerful. Both those organisations have joined forces and made the generous offer to match a total of $60,000 tonight. So that means that $20,000 per organisation will be matched by your pledging dollars. It's an amazing opportunity to leverage your donations. That means if you give $1,000, it becomes $2,000 thanks to those organisations tonight. So now is the time, if you're going to give to organisations doing great work in the world, it creates a bit of an incentive, I suppose, to give now because it's going to be matched by those organisations. So dig deep. Right then, hopefully everyone understands the process. If not, we'll work it out together as we go. Let's get started with Gambina and their advocate, Noel Turnbull. Let's see if we can get Noel up on screen. And you're live, Noel, so over to you whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm Noel Turnbull. My wife and I have been supporting Gambina for now more than 15 years. My wife grew up in the area and knew about the Marupna Indigenous community in the Goulburn Valley. We became aware of Gambina's work in the Goulburn Valley area through Rumbalara, another outstanding Indigenous organisation there, and Leadership Victoria. And we thought that it was doing really important work in education and youth support. We've always been great believers in education, and Gambina has obviously had a really transformational impact among the Indigenous youth of Goulburn Valley and now in other parts of Australia. We'd like to urge you to support Gambina too. Any investment that you give to them will be well spent and very effective. They produce very comprehensive, detailed reports. And more importantly, if you meet any of the people that they help, the young Indigenous youth, you can actually see what a fantastic organisation they are in the results that they're getting with those people. We'll be donating $1,000 to this Gambina crowdfunding program and hope many of you will match it either in part or in full. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Noel. Thanks for being here. Thanks for getting behind Gambina as you do already, and for putting your effort and note underlining how valuable you think their work is in the community, and also for putting your money on the line. So you can see there in the pledging totals, you can see there's $1,000 from Noel, and that's been matched by Waratah and IOOF, as we said. So thank you for kicking us off. This is the time now in the chat for anyone who wants to give to this wonderful organisation. Please pop your name and the amount that you'd like to pledge in there, and we'll start the pledging. Who wants to take that first slot? Larissa gave us a wonderful presentation about this organisation and the Accelerated Learning Program. So much great work. And Julie, CEO of the Funding Network, said she's already had a proxy text pledge from Josh Brock for $200, but he wants a match. So Josh has asked for someone else to pledge $200. This is something nice that we can do through these events, is invite others to donate as well. Osborne Family Fund, $200 match. Brilliant, thank you. Camler Family pledges $500. The families are coming in strong to start us off. That's beautiful. So thanks to those family funds. $100 from the Styles family. So I might encourage, if anyone else watching now has a family or had a family, then time to pledge. Carr family, $200, $500 from the English family. Here we go, the pledging's really begun. Faye Robertson, $100, and Faye says, great work to an important issue in Australia, absolutely. Frederick Mulder, $500, thank you, Frederick. David Ziegler, $200 matches Josh. So we've got that match, beautiful. Thanks for picking that up, David. $500 from Major Tom Jacoby. Any other canines prepared to match this? So Major Tom's a dog of some sort, I'm guessing. I think I'm understanding that right. Beautiful. Love having pet donations. If anyone else has a pet that's feeling generous, please chip in. Will there be a second round of pledging? Yes, we'll go through each of the organisations once, and then we'll do a final quick round second time around. Katrina Sparkle, $200 if I can get a match from any other parent or grandparent of an 11-year-old like Lewis. So Katrina Sparkle, $200 if I can get a match from any other parent or grandparent. If there's parents or grandparents out there, think about the world that your kids, your grandkids are going to move into, and how much better a world Gambina can help to make it. Seymour District Charitable Fund is pleased to give $100, and thank you, Carolyn Monkton, and nice to see your name there. And we've got $500 from the Burton Taylor Foundation, Family Foundation. Thank you so much to the Burton Taylor Foundation. Beautiful. There's so much great stuff that Larissa shared in her presentation, wasn't there? You know, that quote at the start, people will never forget how you made them feel, by Maya Angelou. And I like that Larissa sort of closed the pitch by sharing photos of smiling children's faces, because that's what really this is all about at the end of the day. If Michael Barr says, if 10 people who have had a coffee today pledge $100 each, I'll match each one. So that would make it $1,000 from Michael if others who have had a coffee can pledge $100. So let's see how many coffee drinkers we can get in. We've got $200 proxy from Mangala Martinez. Thank you, Mangala. Thanks, Julie, for passing that one on. Any coffee drinkers out there want to pledge? If you're all hopped up on your stimulant, then this is a chance to use that energy for good. We've raised $12,000 so far. What a wonderful start. So that means we've had $6,000 in pledges and $6,000 matched. So there's still plenty of money there sitting there to be matched. But you can see the power of this, of donating tonight at this event in this moment. Your money basically has double its value. Deb, $100 for the caffeine. Nice one, Deb. Thank you. Sue's had a coffee. This feels like we're admitting something now. I've had a coffee. I'll donate $100. Melissa, $100. I'm a tea drinker. That is, you are just as welcome, Melissa. I'm a tea drinker as well. Sometimes a decaf, but nothing more. Absolutely. Michael's accepting tea drinkers. Thanks, mate. Great. You're very flexible with your pledging challenge, which I love. Ah, Julie, I forgot your pledge. $100 for your daddy, but I also have a coffee, so use it. We'll tick the box of that one. That's great. Geraldine's daughter, Abby, wants to hear her name, so we'd love to donate $100. I'm going to say, Abby, again, thank you so much, Geraldine, and to Abby, thanks for donating. It's really beautiful. The Funding Network, $100 for a coffee drinker. Claire Humble, nice one. Thank you, Claire. That's a great little challenge you've got there, Michael. I know there's always a lot of coffee drinkers in a group. Jerome, coffee, $100. Thank you. $100 from Dad and Day in Dublin. That's a lot of D's. I love a bit of alliteration, I love a bit of poetry coming from Dublin, because we love and are so proud of Julie and delighted to donate to such a great cause. That's beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you to Julie's fam. Michael's still looking for one more, it says. Another 100. I have 2 kids, so coffee equals survival for Beatrix. That's great. I think that looks like we've made our total on that one. Thank you. And so that means, Michael, you're donating $1,000. Is that right? Salter family, Salteri family, I read that wrong, will match Michael's coffee drinkers, so an extra $100 for all the coffee drinkers. Anthony S., does that mean $100 times 10? Am I reading that one right? Maybe just let us know so we can make sure we pick that up properly, but I think I'm understanding you right. And just a reminder in the chat there that you can text to that number if you'd prefer not to do it in the chat, but we do welcome pledges in the chat, absolutely, and love getting the energy going in that chat. So loving all your comments and conversation. 5 kids in my family, Anna Martin, $100 for each of them. So it's $500 from Bibi Martin. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Thanks to your 5 kids. Beautiful. Yeah, I mean, this project really does have a beautiful impact on children. You remember Larissa talked about Millie as an example, and children like Millie and the sort of impact that this can have. And what really struck me was also that the idea that challenges early on in education can lead to disconnection from the disengagement, and that can have a flow-on effect after that as well. So it feels like Gambina is really intervening at a critical juncture, critical moment, and then that has a flow-on effect. So I just feel like, I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons why, you know, she said for each dollar value, each dollar you donate is $6.60 worth of social value. Maybe that's partly why there's so much social value. It's about finding these right leverage points and intervening there. So just a reminder, I suppose, if you donate here and now, you get your money doubled, but you're also donating to such a great organization who's really thought about what's the need here and has a program that actually really works. $2,000 from a proxy from Sandra Salteri, but only if she can get a match from a TFN diehard. So is there a TFN diehard in the room? It's a nice thing about these funding network events. I find that, you know, as I come along to more of them as an MC or as an audience member as well, I find there are names that pop up again, lots of new names every time, but you start to get a sense of people who come along. It's such a great way to, basically the work's been done of picking a bunch of amazing charities. Michael, I think I might be a TFN diehard. That's cool, Michael. Does that mean you're gonna chip that in, that 2,000 to match? Julie's not surprised, it looks like. Oh, I just need a drink of water. I'm glad I've got that next to me. Yes, so $2,000 from Michael. Michael Barr, thank you very much. And thank you for Sandra for putting that prompt out there. Just a little bit of like, it's a bit of community kind of spirit, isn't it? A little bit of gentle prodding and encouragement of each other. Love those challenges. That's amazing, Michael. Thank you. Deb says, wow, Michael. Absolutely. And you know, that $2,000, that $4,000 from Sandra, from Michael becomes $8,000 with the matching funds. And so all of a sudden we're talking about really significant amounts of money that can really start to flow through and have real on the ground impacts for people's lives, impacting kids being able to go through these programs. Amazing. Who else is there? If you're sitting there thinking, oh, maybe I might contribute, or I came along to contribute to another charity, but this has really inspired me, and I am, as Larissa said, you know, feeling something now. Let those feelings speak. Feel free to chip in. Another $350 from Mangala Martinez. He loved that pitch. Yeah, thanks, Mangala. I love that pitch too. They were great pitches tonight, weren't they? And Larissa clearly cares very much about the work she's doing, and it's a great organization. Anyone else keen to contribute? We're up to $25,000, $25,700 so far. You can see on that total. Remember, the name Gambina means to rise up, Larissa told us. The money here is really helping, I guess, to bring that naming and that meaning to life and making it come true. Jerome's giving another 150. Thank you, Jerome. Just looking for any more final donations before we move on to the next round. To the next organization, and there will be a second round, as I said before. So if you want to come back to this one, that's okay too. But just picking up any last contributions. Anyone got their fingers near the keys, thinking about it, not sure? Lewis says, thanks on behalf of the kids you are helping rise up. Yeah, absolutely. It's beautiful to think of, you know, real impact in real people's lives, which is really beautiful. Fantastic contributions from Waratah and IWF. Yeah, absolutely. Doesn't that make a big difference? Rob Caldulis, sorry, late joiner. I'd like to pledge $2,000. Oh, Rob, no need to no need to apologize. If you come into the room at any time with a good, beautiful pledge like that, then that's amazing. Thank you, Rob. Rob swoops in to nudge it up, Carmen says, exactly. That's great. Thank you so much, Rob. So generous. That gets matched and becomes $4,000, obviously. Really makes a big difference. Big Mac Jacoby will give $200 and looking for other equines to pitch in. Any other equines out there, horses out there? Yeah, way to go, Rob. Making an entrance. Love that. It's like a twist in a movie or something, isn't it? You think you just know exactly where it's going and then it twists at the end. Welcome, Rob. I'm thinking we might be close on this one, although you never know, given that Rob just contributed. Are there any horse owners, horse lovers? I have got that right, isn't it? Equine is horse. hope so. Otherwise, I'll be making a fool of myself on live internet stream. Nothing worse. Julie, CEO of TFN. Did I mention it's TFN's 8th anniversary tomorrow? I didn't know that, Julie. That's so cool. And she's giving $100 because she's got the best job in town. That's beautiful. It's so nice to see a CEO and someone as great as you, Julie, who loves their job so much. And I have to say, I know why. When you get to support organisations like these to do more of their great work, and these events always have such a great feel. Thank you, Julie. So we're over the $30,000 mark for Gambina in this first round. You all done, folks, for this round? Let's move on to the next organisation. Thank you so much, everyone, for your contributions to Gambina. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We'll remove that total from the chart. We'll open up the ledger, I suppose you might call it, for Alithia. And to move on to Alithia, I'm going to invite their advocate, Ben Abbott, up onto the screen to say a few words about them. And Ben will be here in just a moment, presumably. Here he comes, Ben for Alithia. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you. As someone who got expelled from kindergarten, I really wish there was something like Alithia around when I was young. Thanks to my family and some other positive influences in my life, things turned out okay for me in the end, despite a couple more expulsions in high school. But it's been a long road, and I know many others who grew up in the Nambucca Valley who haven't been so lucky. So it's been really exciting to see Alithia providing new ways of learning of opportunities here, especially for kids who might otherwise have fallen through the cracks. We live in such a beautiful place, but cycles of poverty and addiction are so common here and have been for as long as I can remember. A lot of this is due to the low education levels that are generally found in areas of socio-economic disadvantage. And I can really see how Alithia will help change this by creating a generation of kids who are really confident and who love to learn and engage in the world in positive ways. I've already seen firsthand how the local kids here are responding to this new approach, and it truly is amazing. I'd like to start the pledge into Alithia with $300 to help them continue this wonderful work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thanks for being here and thanks for kicking us off with a pledge. That's amazing. It's so great to hear these personal stories, isn't it? People being able to reflect on why they think this organisation is deserving of our support. If you weren't already convinced by Tallulah's wonderful pitch, then there's another little nudge from Ben and kicked us off with $300, which becomes $600 with the magic of matched funding. The funding network says $300, Ben. I presume that's $300 from Ben. And Carmen is kicking it off, $100. Thank you. And kicking off with a challenge as well, which we love. Challenges always make this stuff, make these events very fun. Challenge to all those who were ever sent to the principal's office or got in trouble at school, but had the support they needed for it to turn out well. So if you ever found yourself at one of those, a little bit of a challenge moment, but you had the support you needed, found yourself in the sort of setting that was right for you, there's a challenge here from Carmen to chip in and help create more of those circumstances for more young folks. Tallulah talked about making the world a kinder, fairer place. She started with the story of two girls in one person, Kaylee. Ruth is in, $100. Thank you, Ruth. Beautiful. Who else have we got here willing to give to Alithia and their wonderful work? Danny's into another $100. Beautiful. Osborne Family Fund, 2 schools, I'm afraid, so $200. Just don't tell my wife. Thanks, Mark. Presumably your wife's not dialed in today, otherwise she knows all about it. Julie, $100. I'm sure I was sent to the principal's office at least once. I reckon many of us would have been, right? Even if you try and get past that, it's hard to avoid. But yeah, Anita, always in trouble at school, make it $500. Thank you, Anita, and glad to know, presuming you got through that okay as well. This program that Alithia runs sounds so empowering for the young folks. $200 proxy from Josh Brock. Thank you so much. Yeah, just the idea is that, that they're bringing into their work that nature helps us focus and calm, and the joy helps us to learn. And then how do you integrate it into a program that's empowering, where the young folk get to sort of choose their own adventure to a certain extent, but they're supported by knowledgeable, skilled mentors along the way. Amazing. I kind of wish I'd learned. I'm a bit jealous, actually. I'd love to learn in that sort of setting now. We've got $200 for 2 principal visits from Suma, from Iban. Thank you so much, Suma and Iban. $500 from Debbie Dayton and family. Thank you, Debbie. $500 is amazing. And then doubled becomes $1,000 tonight, which is amazing, matched by Waratah and IWF. Frederick Mulder, caught shooting spitballs in my final year, $500. It's like, Frederick, you're finally paying some sort of, I don't know, penance for that, or fine or something, but it goes to such a great cause. So it's all working out well. Yeah, very impressive, Fred. That's cool. Thank you for the contribution on behalf of Alithia. Who else out there was inspired by Tallulah's story and by the programs? Joe Hastings, a big fan of Ken Robinson's work. In honour of his life, Katrina Sparkle through Lewis would like to pledge $300 to be matched by any family challenged by homeschooling last year. Yeah, right. That was a big thing for families right across this country and beyond. A lot of challenges there. So if any families are out there and you want to contribute, $300 from Katrina Sparkle through Lewis, please match that one. Kamla family, $500 to cover all of Sean's time in school detention. Probably not enough. Thank you so much to the Kamla family. We'll call that the covering of detention. I don't know how you calculate actually numbers of dollars for detention time, but thank you, that's brilliant. Love your emoji there too of that angel. Is the matched funding $20K for each organisation? Vivcourt asked. Yes, that's right. There's $60,000 total, which means up to $20,000 for each organisation. So still plenty of space in there for us to take it up higher. James McElvogue, $100 via the website. Thank you so much, James. Julie, CEO, says Anthony Salteri is having a kitchen emergency, but he would like to play a kitchen emergency. Wow, I wonder what that is. But he would like to pledge $4,000 if someone will match. Wowzers. Wowzers indeed. So there's $4,000 sitting there on the table if someone will match it. So there's a real challenge being put out here by Anthony. Thank you. That means if someone matches that, that becomes 8,000, which then gets matched to become 16,000. So can we make 4,000? Yes. Rob Caldulis, amazing. I feel like we should have some fireworks or party poppers that we can set off with that. That's amazing. Rob and Anthony combining their powers, and then that combining with Waratah and IWF. And now we're up at $22,800. Thank you all, that's amazing. Alan and Tessa English sharing via the English Family Foundation, $500. Thank you so much to the English Family Foundation. Beautiful generosity for this program. Okay, so I've just had a request. There's $100 from Geraldine, and tough as it may be to hear, Abby, I think it might be time to go to bed. I'm just getting a feeling. Starting to get late. It's past 7 o'clock, which I'm presuming might be your bedtime. Just had that request come in, just had that feeling come in. And so it's been lovely to have you here. Thank you for your generosity, and we might see you at another event in the future. To Abby. Yeah, lots of love for Anthony and Rob coming into the chat here, which is great. Any other contributions for Alithia Inc? That idea of children, in nature is just such a beautiful reminder for all of us, I think, and so great that there's organisations like this doing this work. We're all in our modern world. Most of us are disconnected from a really, natural connection with the natural world. And when that gets disconnected, then people become disconnected from learning and from community, was what Tallulah was telling us. And this program helps to unwind that and bring kids back home. Sandra Salteri is jealous that Rob is showing Anthony all the love, so she will donate $2,000 for another match from anyone. This is great. So the matching is inspiring other matching. So this is a separate match. This is from Sandra. $2,000 from another match from anyone. Liam and Dave McDonald said, good night, Abby. Yeah, good night, Abby. Thanks, Geraldine. I'm loving getting the family updates. That's great. So nice. Rob says, damn you, Sandra. I'll match that as well. Thank you, Rob. Very generous. Wonderful. So Sandra's done a great thing there. $2,000 matched with Rob's 2,000 is 4,000 plus Waratah and IWF takes it up to $8,000, and that gets the total up to $32,000, which is really wonderful. Remember, Tallulah said $40,000 would help 40 children to be supported in this way. So we're getting close to that. We're getting close. And it would also help them showcase their work so that they could ask for more funds from other people. So this is not just putting in your money, having it matched, and then that going off and doing the work. It also gives these organizations the sort of resources that they need in order to go and seek more funds. So the support we're giving now, boosted as it is by Waratah and IWF, is able to then help them to go and seek other funds. So there's sort of like a multiplying effect that I can see happening here, which is pretty cool. Josh, $100, Styles family and little Alfie, keep up the good work. Yeah, absolutely. And Suma, $500 from Suma. Love your work, Tully. And incorporating art, music, and nature-based therapy into the learning. Yes, thank you, Suma. It sounds like you know a little bit about the work in some detail, which is really cool. The more I hear about it, I want to be involved in this program somehow, find a version. I wouldn't take a place, obviously, but it just sounds like a brilliant learning experience, and the sort that we'd all benefit from, let alone children who are really in need. Jason L from VivCorp will pledge $3,000. Thank you so much, Jason. That's so generous. Wonderful. Lovely to see these last minute sort of pledges coming through. We'll move on to the next organization soon. So any last pledges, pop them in now. David Ziegler, $500. Match me if you have a drink in hand. So if you've got a drink in your hand right now, there's a challenge from David, $500. Let's see if someone's got a drink in their hand. Doesn't have to be an alcoholic beverage. Could be the aforementioned coffee, could be a tea, or it could be a beer, wine, whiskey, or even a water. We don't mind. We're not fussy here at the Funding Network. I'm presuming that's right, David. If you've got a drink in hand, matching that $500 if we can. Go, VivCorp, says Carmen. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant, VivCorp. $3,000 is no small amount, and it becomes $6,000 you've got in there. And so we've just tipped over the $40,000, which Tallulah specifically mentioned that as a first target tonight, which is really exciting. So amazing work, folks. Beautiful. Yes, and Carmen's just woohooed about that too. I'm feeling that too, Carmen. It's great, isn't it? Yay, Joe, yay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And Julie said $100 for my goddaughter Jade, who is lucky to start school this year. That's lovely. Thank you, Julie. I think it's so nice that these sort of events remind me, at least, that when we start thinking about community and when we start caring for each other and supporting good charities and organizations doing good work in the world, it connects us more richly with all of the good stuff in our lives. It gets us our hearts opening. It gets us thinking of our goddaughters or our kids or our grandchildren or whatever it is, which is just a really beautiful effect. So giving is good for us, is what I'm saying. So if you want that health boost, if you want that that benefit, then tonight is a good chance to get it. Let's move on to program 3. Wow, incredible. What a wonderful effort. Thank you, everybody. We will minimize that total. We will move to the next third and final organization. Such great work, everyone. Now let's see how we can support Narramili. Let's invite their advocate, Chris Gray, to speak. Welcome up, Chris.
Thanks, Matt. I'd like to start by acknowledging the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation on whose land I'm on and whose sovereignty was never ceded. 5 Point Foundation is already a supporter of Narramili, and we've been able to see Cormac and the team and the work they do in supporting and nurturing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander businesses here in Victoria. Starting and running a business is not easy. There's demands and challenges, but for First Nations founders, it's more difficult. As Cormac talked about, they face the added barriers of discrimination, racism, and the lingering effects of the stolen generation. Narramili's work is all about working with the First Nations founders to navigate and remove those barriers. Because we know if we remove those barriers, that we will see true equality for First Nations people who want to start their own business. More First Nations business means more economic activity, as Cormac was talking about. It means more employment for First Nations people. It means more investment in their communities. And we also know that First Nations role models in business inspires more budding First Nations entrepreneurs. We want to keep walking with Narramili as they take their work nationally. And tonight, 5 Point Foundation would like to start the pledging with $1,000.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Chris. Thanks for being here, and thanks for your $1,000 pledge to kick us off. So now I would like to officially open the pledging for Narramili. Please, if you've got funds that you'd like to contribute to Cormac and the team, this is the time to do it. Proxy for Josh Brock, $200. Thank you so much for that proxy pledge. Josh Brock, $200. That's our first pledge after Chris gave his $1,000, and already we're up to $2,400. So let's see if there's some generosity here for this really beautifully important organisation. It's so inspiring to hear Cormac speak. I think you can tell his dedication and drive from the stories he told, from the way that he talks about his work. And I was really interested and inspired by that ripple effect that you can see that his work and their work has in the community and communities that they work. Mangala loves this cause and has donated $750 by SMS. Thank you to Mangala. So yeah, donations can come any which way. If they come via SMS like that, then that's great. If they come in the chat, that's great too. Faye Robinson said, Cormac's smile is worth $100 from me. Thanks so much, Faye. That's great. Beautiful. $100 to be matched by anyone else who teared up listening to Cormac. LJ Locke. Yeah, so if this story touched you, if the pitch touched you and the things that Cormac shared, then LJ Locke has said, chip in $100. Turn that emotion, that resonance, into something real in the real world that can have a beautiful impact. Not that that's not real on its own, but you know what I'm saying. Multiply the effect. Sue Stewart, $100. Thank you so much. Hindmarsh family, $1,000. They'd love a match in any form. Could be 10 by 100, could be 2 times 500 or 5 times 200. They're not fussy about how it gets matched, but they would love to encourage a match. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, maybe I wonder, I gave to one of the other organizations, think about the work that's being done here and how you can boost it tonight and what benefit that will have. Des Benjamin, $100. The Camler family, wonderful organization, $500, beautiful, gets matched, becomes $1,000. LJ donating the cost of a new mascara, $100. Thank you. Yeah, if it's made your mascara run, just wipe it off with a tissue or a handkerchief and put the money in here. It'll be well used, I'm sure. David Ziegler, $1,000 match for the Hindmarsh family. Oh, look at that. That's great. They said they didn't mind what sort of denominations it came in, and David has just matched it straight up. Beautiful. Thanks so much, David. Amazing. David's from Macquarie, it sounds like. Thank you, David, and the Macquarie folk on this call tonight. Mark Osborne Family Fund. Love the model, $600. Yeah, it really sounds like an amazing model, doesn't it? It was described as being quite a personal approach for each entrepreneur, each participant, where their social and emotional well-being was thought of, as well as obviously the practical, tangible business sort of support that they need too. So quite a holistic approach, it sounded like, from the description of Cormac. $100 for tears, Josh from the Styles family. Thank you so much. Frederick Mulder, $300. Amazing. Thank you, Frederick. And I've got another one here from Joe Hastings, $200 if we can get matched by anyone who is inspired by the canoe trip like me. Lewis from Katrina Sparkle. So anyone else inspired by the canoe trip story out there? That was what an epic thing to do. And one of the canoes didn't make it, but it sounds like that was actually not a bad thing because it meant more people to paddle was the way that I was understanding that. So, wow, amazing. So if anyone else is inspired by that effort, amazing work. Well done to all the supporters. Absolutely, Ariola. Anita, I'll make it $300 for being inspired by the canoe trip. Thanks, Anita. That's great. Yeah. Nice to let this stuff inspire us, you know. I mean, just hearing of this amazing work, none of us on our own can do all the things that need to be done to make the future what we might like it to be. But when you hear about people like Cormac out there in communities supporting others to do good work, we know that if we put a little bit of emphasis and effort here, a little bit of money behind this organisation, it can go a long way and have a whole lot of impacts that we ourselves may not be able to bring about. $2,000 from Anthony Salteri because he was inspired by the canoe trip. That canoe trip is starting to pay for itself, and I'm really glad to see it. That's awesome. If it wasn't worth it already, which I think it might have been for Cormac, because it sounds like a life-changing experience, it's starting to pay dividends for the inspiration it's giving others. Diana Gray, $500 for the great work. That's from the Gray and Martin families. Thank you so much to the Gray and Martin families. Thanks for digging into your pocket and offering $500, which becomes as powerful as 1,000 tonight. Another 100 for LJ Locke. Those of us who would like a canoe expedition but can't fit in the canoe because of the coronavirus kilos. Thanks, LJ Locke. Yeah, I'm sure you can get different sized canoes, so maybe you could still look at that if you want to. But regardless, we'll let you sort that out. $100, very kind. Thanks for donating again. The Salteris are from the Cages Foundation, who work tirelessly for Indigenous communities. $2,000 from Sandra, if Rob will match her. And Julie said, sorry, Rob. So this is a very direct challenge there for Rob. And Rob, straight back in, my 9-year-old son Archie, who is listening in, would like to donate $2,000. Okay, I'll match that. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Rob. Brilliant. LJ Locke says it would need to be a very large canoe. Well, maybe it's a boat trip. Who knows? Get yourself one of those like really cruisy yachts and have someone else to sail it. I think that's the way I would do it. But anyway, go Archie K, said Carmen. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much to Archie for the $2,000. Beautiful. Lovely to see these matches, to see the personal challenges coming out. It's all for a good cause. So it's really great. The English Family Foundation, again, thank you. Another $500. Very generous and really appreciate it. And I'm sure Cormac does as well. Michael Barr is going to buy the canoe for $500 if someone will buy the seats. The seats are $200 each and 2 paddles for $100 each. The maths there is boggling my mind a little bit, but we need some $200 and $100 contributions to the canoe, and Michael Barr will chip in $500. So let's see if we can match that one, hey? Oh, Rob, I misunderstood that. Thank you for clarifying. So I think Rob had put the 2,000 from Archie in at about the same time that he was being challenged to chip in 2,000, which is just a bit of a coincidence of timing. So what that means is that Archie's chipped in 2,000 and Rob has come to the party and chipped in another 2,000, which is just amazing. Thanks, Rob. Brilliant. Need a bigger canoe. Absolutely, Julie. Oh, that's so great. And we're up to $32,400. $100 via the website for a paddle. Another paddle from Andrea. Thanks, Andrea Heffernan from TFN. And LJ Locke for the other paddle. We need something to sit on. Yes. We need $200 for seats, Michael said. I love that you're keeping track of that for me, Michael. That's great. I appreciate it, I have to say. Hugh Burton Taylor will buy a seat, $250. So that's a $200 seat, and I'm assuming that you might get like a nice comfy cushion or something for the extra $50, just to make the ride a bit smoother, or maybe a drink of your choice in the little drink holder on the canoe as you go. Remember, you know, what Cormac talked about, and as Chris talked about too, this idea of Aboriginal businesses starting some steps behind, thanks to systemic issues like racism, discrimination, intergenerational trauma. Last year, Black Lives Matter protests in the US sparked some renewed conversations here, or ongoing conversations got sort of raised up again here about how we all can support First Nations people, can support 80,000 years of excellence, as Cormac described it, to continue and to be, you know, flourish as much as possible. At the moment, that's not the situation necessarily as much as it would be, because of these systemic issues that are holding people back, holding First Nations folks back. So anything we give tonight can help to put a little bit of a wind at the back of folks like Cormac and the people that Narramili supports to do more of their great work. I've got $100 for life jackets. Thanks, Melissa. This is going to be a really well stocked out canoe. That's brilliant. Julie said, I'm sorry, but Anthony has texted another $2,000 if Archie will match it. Is this even legal? Yeah, that's a great question, Julie. I'm going to let Rob answer that one. And Archie will not only match, but raise him another $1,000 to $3,000. Archie, thank you so much. I don't know if Archie's dialed in here and listening, but thank you. That's very generous of you. Amazing. Amazing. Michael said, if someone buys the other seat, I'll buy the cushion for $100. Cool. That's nice. You've got to have a cushion for a trip like this. You've got to be comfortable, you know? Fine young man, Archie. Oh, thank you, Archie. Brilliant. This is about creating a sustainable ecosystem of Black entrepreneurial excellence. I want to see that in this country. I'm sure you do too. This is how we help get it done. This organisation is doing amazing work. There's a huge call for this work, as Cormac said. There's a big call out there. We need to support them so they can get out and meet that call. Keep paddling, everyone. Thanks, Aldo. That's cool. They've impacted 650 people already, and there's so much potential for this to go further. And that's only the direct impact as well, by the way. Cormac, you know, made it pretty clear that there's this ripple effect, and I think that's something to speak for as well. Julie said she'll buy the seat for Dad for his birthday. $200 seat. Hope you love it. That's great. I reckon that seat comes then with inbuilt seat warmer, with a drink by your side, whatever your drink of choice is. And it's a particularly comfortable seat, I reckon. That's great. Nice cushion. Brilliant. LJ Locke, yes, it was the 60K was the figure that Cormac mentioned as a target for tonight. Yeah, let's pause here on this one. Let's go back to the start. Oh, $100 for Julie's dad's birthday. Get any last quick ones if you can. $500 for more seats and paddles. Thank you, Nadia. Brilliant. We're going back around. So what we'll do is we'll just take each of the three organisations in turn, and I'll invite you to make any last pledges. So Gambina, currently sitting at $30,800, and just let us know, Vivcourt, I presume that's for, can you let us know who that's for, that $4,000, just to make sure we catch it right? Is it for Narramili or Gambina? Sometimes there's a bit of a delay on the internet, so we accidentally pass each other in the chat. So while Vivcourt's doing that and clarifying who that beautiful grand is for, I'm inviting final pledges for Gambina. So if there's anyone out there, it's from Narramili. Okay, thank you so much. If there's anyone out there who would like to give to Gambina, if you missed it the first round, if you'd like to help their total to move up closer to the others, if you like symmetry, this is the moment for you. This is your time to shine. For Gambina, another $100 from the Seymour District Charitable Fund. Thank you so much, Carolyn. Yeah, let's do it. Gambina, second round. Such an inspiring story, such beautiful work that they're doing. And there's still some matched funds on the table for this organization. So that means if you've got the inkling, the inclination, even the faintest kind of thought perhaps of chipping in some more money, this might be a really good place to do it. $200 final donation from Mangala. Thank you, Mangala. Been very generous tonight, so thank you for those, and thanks, Julie, for passing them through. That gets us to $31,400. Lucy Goulopoulos from Vivcorp will pledge $10,000 for Gambina. Oh, wow. Shepparton local here and very excited and grateful. Oh, that's amazing. Lucy and Vivcorp, thank you so much. That's huge. It gets us up through all that matched funding, which is brilliant, makes the most of that opportunity from tonight. And then also just is a wonderful amount of money to help support this organization. Michael said, any golfers out there, $100? Let's keep it moving, folks. If there's any golfers, smashed it, Lucy. Everyone's commenting about that contribution from Lucy. Thank you. $2,000 from Sandra Salteri. Yeah, like they haven't done enough. Any matches for the Irish crack? So the money's rolling in here, which is wonderful. This is what we want with this last little round. It'll be a very quick round. We won't sit here for long. So pop your pledges in if you can, and we'll move through. Hi there, Kirsty Kovacs from Kennards High Foundation. We support this program by Gambina and love what they do. I'd like to personally donate $1,000. Thank you, Kirsty. That's amazing. Kennards High Foundation. So great. Thank you for that personal donation. And thanks also for just, making clear that you believe in this organization, the work they do. It's great to hear. Jason L, $3,000 for Gambina. Look at this. We're making such a beautiful late run. That's awesome. Melissa's giving $100, sort of matching Michael's challenge there, but better at putt-putt, mini golf, I presume that means. Putting's an important part of golf, though, so I wouldn't dismiss that, Melissa. I reckon you've just got to learn the long game and then you're in. Talking like I know much about golf, I don't. Viv Court, great to hear about learning support for young children. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, a lot of learning support is about numeracy and literacy, and this has that third element of cultural literacy as well in there. And as was mentioned, as Larissa mentioned, that's something that helps make this really sing and really work for the people who go through the program. Frederick Mulder says, you Australians are amazing. What you've done in the last 8 years is extraordinary, and you're endlessly inventive. Beautiful. Are there any final pledges for Gambina? We're up to $52,300, which is a lovely total. Current capacity is supporting 50 kids, so that's a really significant change to a big chunk of people's, a big number of people's lives. Nadia said, unfortunately, I missed the intro to all three charities, but sounds great. $500. Nadia, that is wonderful. That, I guess, shows just some belief in this process. TFN picks these charities really carefully, and there's a filtering process and a panel, so you can be assured that it's going to a good place. This is an accelerated learning program for First Nations young folks, and sounds really wonderful and impactful. And your $500 will go to contribute to that, and will, actually change the lives of children, which is wonderful. And yeah, just to note that Frederick Mulder is the global founder of the funding network. So it's really great to have him joining us online tonight. Awesome to have you here, Fred. Thanks for sparking this thing and kicking it off. It's such a fun event, and a really great way to get money into the bank accounts of organizations who can use it in the best ways. $100 from Joe and Lewis because we love what you do. That's amazing. Julie's donating $100 in honor of Fred. I think we might be getting close to moving on to Alithia now. Is that all from Gambina? Are you all done, folks? Are you all finished? Any last donations? Pop them in the chat now. Yeah, great to meet you virtually, Fred. Okay, I think that might be Gambina, $53,000. I can't wait to see Larissa's face when she sees that total. Well done, folks. Thank you. Such great generosity. It's really wonderful. Oh, Geraldine's wrapping it up with $100. Thanks, Geraldine. We'll call that an exclamation point on the contributions to Gambina. And let's move to Alithia. So any last round pledges for Alithia? Again, we'll just do this as a quick round. We don't want to sit here for too long. Alithia round 2, let's go. What a beautiful organization. Tallulah told us the inspiring story of this organization, and we've had some great generosity. We've got all the match funding spoken for, but still an opportunity to boost this above 40,200. If there's anyone out there who would like to contribute to Alithia and who didn't get a chance to, now is your chance. I sometimes think with these events, you know, I wouldn't have known about these organizations necessarily. Jerome Finkford, Jenny Brigg, $100. Thank you so much, Jenny. Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't necessarily know about these organizations, but once you hear about them and you hear about the great work they're doing, often under the radar, often unheralded or, you know, uncelebrated, and yet here they are doing this beautiful work. So this is a chance maybe you've just heard about some of these organizations. There's a chance to boost their work, to honor the surprise and maybe the how impressed you might be at what they're doing. Let's not beat around the bush. Julie's just cutting straight to the chase. Love it. $2,000 from Sandra if Rob marries her. I mean, matches her. That's great. Yeah, but let's go with the match. $2,000 from Sandra if Rob matches her. So a direct challenge to Rob there. Is he up for it? No pressure, Rob, but you know, there it is. Very direct. Is 2 wives illegal here? I think it might be, Rob. You all can work that out amongst yourselves. I don't think we get involved in romantic relationships, but financial transactions we can get involved with. And Rob, you've matched with $5,000. Amazing. That's great. Beautiful. So that's the $2,000 from Sandra and the $5,000 from Rob. That's $7,000 to add to that total. Amazing. I know Tallulah is going to be so thrilled about that. Is there anyone else who wants to chip in for Alithia? Any amounts over $100 are absolutely welcome. And remember, there's no upper limit. As Rob has shown us just now, $5,000 is an amazing contribution. Can we get them to 50K? Yeah, we're so close, 47,300. For anyone who likes a bit of a motivator, a bit of a milestone to work towards, a target. I am Lewis. I'm 11, and this is my first TFN, and I'm lucky to love school, so $100. Lewis, thank you so much. And thanks for acknowledging that too, that you love school, the school works for you. I'm really glad to hear that. That's awesome. It's so good to love school, and you've just contributed $100, which helps to make sure that other kids have learning that they love and that has a good impact on them, on their mental and emotional well-being, and on their relationships and so on as well. So great. Thanks, Lewis. $500 from Nadia. David, $500 more. David Ziegler, thank you, both of you. That's $1,000 between Nadia and David. Wonderful. Where are we up to? 48,400. There's some nice comments in the chat there for you, Lewis. What a legend all round, said Deb. And LJ said, wow, Lewis, well done. Rob Caldulis, Lewis, you've sparked something here, my friend. Your $100, Rob has matched with $5,000. So you've given that amount of money that you can give, and Rob has said, well, here's what I can give. He's been inspired by your contribution. Well done. And thank you so much, Rob, for that generosity again. That's amazing. You've popped Alithia over the $50,000 mark that we named just before, so that's so cool. David Ziegler, $100 match for Lewis, legend. Is Lewis the new Salteri? He might be. He's inspiring some great contributions here. This is what happens, right? Like someone contributes, someone shows some generosity, some heart, and it encourages us to do the same. And that's this communal healing and the beautiful thing that happens at these Funding Network events, which we just love. Any other contributions for Alithia? $53,500. Tallulah said that this money will support $40,000 would support 40 children and showcasing for other possible funds. So remember, any money you give now will get more children through these programs and help them to have the support to go and seek other funds. So, you know, these are the sorts of organizations we need to get behind and support. Wonderful. Power of giving, go Lewis. Yeah, Lewis is doing cartwheels. That's cool. I wish I could do cartwheels. I might not try. Not now. We don't want an injury on a funding network event. Final pledges for Alithia. Yeah, going. Are you all done? I feel like I'm an auctioneer now. Is anyone out there not to speak? This is the moment. Don't hold your tongue in the chat. Anyone else feeling even partway inspired, or maybe that was a really inspiring pledge from Tallulah? $1,000 final donation from Anthony Salteri. A match to help get to 150,000 would be great. We're over 150,000 on the total amount raised, but maybe a match to help us get to 155,000 would be great. So final donation from Anthony Salteri. Thank you so much. Can we get any final donations? This is the last request for Alithia, and then we'll move on to Narramilli final pledges, and then we'll be done for the evening. But it's been such a... sorry. Thanks, Julie. Clear that up for me. I got confused. All right, we're into Narramilli. So Narramilli, $1,000 from Anthony Salteri, and Rob has matched that. Beautiful. So that's $1,000 from Rob Caldoulis. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Anthony. You're like a double act here. Well, it's a triple act, I suppose, with Sandra involved as well, but lovely to see your collaboration of sorts. So Narramilli is on 48,750. Let's see if we can get them over 50K, folks. Again, for anyone who loves symmetry, you can see those other totals are at 53,000 or thereabouts. This program no less worthy than the others. Such a great organization. Cormac started his talk by saying this is a story of Black excellence. If you want to see folks like Cormac and the work that he's doing supported in this world, then this is a great chance. Rob's just offering a little bit of a hint to Lewis that he'd love to match him again. It's inspiring to see you give. I agree. It was lovely to see folks of all ages contributing, coming along and enjoying this, even if some of them have to go to bed partway through. It's really nice. It's the sort of family feel of this. These events is wonderful. And no less because we've got some family foundations here, and thanks to all the family foundations who are along tonight and at all of the TFN events that they come to. Let's get Narramilli over 50K, folks. Any other contributions out there? You've been so generous. Andrea said, I'm not Lewis, but I know his nan, and she is amazing. So $100, does that work? That's a great question, Andrea. So Rob, does that work? That's beautiful. When we support First Nations folks, we all benefit. This country is a better place for it. So this is what we're doing here with organisations like Narramilli, like Gambina. When we chip in and support these sorts of organisations doing the beautiful work they're doing, a thoughtful, caring, community-oriented work to build sustainable ecosystems of excellence, we all benefit. That gets $1,000, Andrea. Thank you, Rob. Wonderful, and thanks, Andrea, for contributing. Lewis said, I'll wash Nan's car 10 times for another 100. That's great. Wonderful. Oh, you could just wash Rob's car once for $1,000, and that's a yes. Rob, will you take up that offer of a car wash? Or is that just the 1,000 that's already been donated? I'm not sure. But we're so close to 50,000. Look at that, 49,950. Is that you, Lewis? That's a huge commitment. I think that is Lewis speaking through the, it says Joe Hastings on there, but I know Lewis was there. Yep. Is that you, Lewis? That's a huge commitment. I'll need proof, but I'll match that with $5,000. Rob, amazing. Yep, again. It is Lewis. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's great. So that takes Narramili to 54,950. And look at that total amount, 161,550. Beautiful. This is what tonight's all about, really. You know, it's so great to hear those stories from these organisations, and then so powerful to see you all get behind them, to each sort of chip in what you've got. Yeah, way to go. Great to get over $50,000 for Narramili. That's amazing. Thank you, Lewis. And yes, of course, thank you to Rob. So I want to check in now. Are we all done? Are we all finished? Any last pledges out there? Don't leave it out on the field, they say in sports sometimes. You know, run all the way to the final siren. If anyone's got any final pledges they want to give to Narramili, support this great work, now is the time. And then what we'll do is we'll hear from each of our presenters, just to see them once again and hear from them very briefly. Yeah, much respect to the mega matching by Waratah and IOOF, said Carmen. Absolutely, absolutely. It makes such a difference, doesn't it? It feels good donating when you know that's been matched as well. Rob says, my son Archie is feeling the love from Lewis and wants to add $5,000 to each of the organisations. So another $15,000 in total. Wow. Rob, thank you. Archie, thank you. That's amazing. So great. And look at what that does to the total. It's a really great generosity. Amazing. What a nice way to I don't know what that is. That's like a highlight, exclamation mark, and underlining it all for the evening. So great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks to all. Beautiful. Yeah, go Archie. Lots of love for Archie and Rob, Lewis as well. Incredible giving, incredible matching, incredible event. I think that's a great summary. That's a great summary. What an amazing night. I think that might be a line drawn under there, TFN folk. What an amazing night. Thank you so much all for demonstrating the power of what we can do together. Julie's going to chip in $50 to round it up. Julie loves an even number, I can tell. She loves it, rounding it up. That's beautiful. I love that inclination, and it makes me feel good too. Awesome. $60,000 we've got to for Narramili, and 176,600 total amount raised. Incredible. Let's bring our presenters up one by one so we can see them once again and see how they feel. So first up, Gambina. Let's bring Larissa up.
Wow, look, thank you so much. That's an amazing figure to end on. Really, really appreciate everybody who pledged tonight. I'd like to say thank you to Noel Turnbull for your kind donation and for kicking us off tonight. Obviously, thank you to IOOF Foundation, Waratah Education Foundation, and like I said, everybody who had a bit of fun tonight and pledged. Really do appreciate your contribution, and your donation will make an absolutely incredible difference in the lives of the children that we support. And thank you to the Funding Network for making this possible. We are absolutely thrilled here at Gambina. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Larissa. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Great to have you here, and what a great result. And next up, let's hear from Tallulah from Alithia. Welcome back up, Tallulah.
Hi, that was the most incredible thing to watch. I'm so excited to tell the families, and I love seeing that there was kids in there and families, and yeah, I'm blown away by TFN, the platform, the innovation behind it, and everyone working and the partners. That was just, it blows my mind, the generosity And I just can't thank you all enough. This is going to really make Alithia's year, make these families just, give them everything they need. Thank you.
Thank you, Tallulah, for all the amazing work that you do, and well done tonight.
Thank you.
And finally, let's hear from Cormac from Narramilli. Let's just waiting for Cormac to come on up. Here he is.
I'm blown away. Thank you so much. Firstly, to Chris Gray and his incredible family that has really supported us since we've sort of started, and our staff and everything else as well. But everyone that's given tonight, and the funding network for putting this on, and from that 60K that we've been able to raise tonight will grow because of, like what I said, with the First Nations economy and the ripple effect of positivity, and it allows us to actually start that national footprint. So we are blown away and appreciate everyone's support and belief, and everything else as well. So thank you so much. Absolutely. I'm wordless.
Thanks so much, Cormac. Thanks for all the amazing work that you do, and I hope this, sends you on your way with some good spirit to continue that great work.
It totally does. Thank you, everyone.
Amazing. Thank you again to our incredible presenters. You can fulfill your pledge right now, if you like, by clicking the green box at the bottom. You'll see fulfill your pledge down there. You'll also receive a link tomorrow via email, or you can go to our website anytime. When you fulfill your pledge, please do consider an extra contribution to the funding network if you're able to. Any gift, large or small, will help us to continue to run events like this and support grassroots non-profits just like these. This is what we do. It's a real honour to do it, and any support you can offer our way as well makes a big difference. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, we'll send you a link to tonight's stream so you can share with your networks and encourage others to support through an extended campaign over the next 2 weeks. So this event, this session, will be available for the next couple of weeks, where we'll be pushing and encouraging you to push it out to your networks and get other people to contribute. We'll update you on the impact of your support over the coming weeks and months as well. So this isn't the end, it's really a relationship with these organisations that you're supporting as these beautiful impacts go out into the world. As Julie mentioned a couple of times in the chat, tomorrow also marks TFN's 8-year anniversary of the funding network. Thank you for all your support over the years through 115 events and $16.5 million facilitated together. It's an amazing achievement. Thank you to partners like IWF, Waratah, Vic Women's for making nights like this possible. Until we meet again, thank you for your time, your generosity, and your support. And someone in the chat said, let's all toast to Black excellence. Always is, was, and always will be Aboriginal land. And a toast to all of you. Thank you so much for tonight. All the best, stay safe, and see you again in the future.